Good morning, all. We set aside this time for brief announcements that will be of interest to our community and friends. Please be succinct when announcing upcoming events or dates. If you have an announcement, please line up on the ramp or aisle here. Raise your Zoom hand, and when Randy or I call upon you, come up to the podium or unmute yourself and then speak. Wayne?
Hello. Greenspace's annual adventure auction and dinner will be 2 weeks from last night, Saturday, June 27th. It's a plated dinner. The callers for the auction will be the same group from last year, and they were very funny. If you want more information, you can go to the Greenspace website or contact me. This is the 38th auction, Greenspace auction, started by artists 38 years ago to support the Greenspace mission in its first year.
Wonderful. Andy.
Thank you, Diane. A couple of announcements. First of all, Randy, can you hit the button? It's not advancing down here. Just a sort of a joy as well as an announcement. This past Wednesday, we had our monthly online meeting that I've spoken about. In this case, we viewed a video by the UUA celebrating the 200th anniversary of the American Unitarian Association. And you can see that 6 of us joined the discussion. And the video was only 5 minutes long. We watched it twice because it was packed full of information. But then we had a fantastic discussion. And I just was so proud and pleased to be the convener that I wanted to share with all of you that this does happen. It'll continue to happen, and you're very welcome to join in. It's really worthwhile for an hour or so. And in that light, the other monthly event that the Religious Education Committee sponsors is a book reading group right here in the sanctuary in person. And we're currently reading this book, God's Dog, Conversations with Coyote. And you know Coyote is a spiritual creature in many religions. And this is written by a UU minister from New Mexico. It's kind of a fantasy of his spiritual journey as guided by a coyote. So we read that. It's really cool. We talk about it for an hour and 15 minutes, and then we go have dinner. So you're welcome to do that. The next one will be Wednesday, June 24th. And then finally, tomorrow at 10 a.m., the men's group will be meeting here in the sanctuary. I will be up in Berkeley, so maybe on Zoom if somebody can get the computer going here in the sanctuary.
Good morning. Today at 4, our space will be used for a concert watch party for something called Rise Up, Sing Out. This is to celebrate the First Amendment to our Constitution, celebrating our rights to freedom of religion, of speech, of assembly, etc. And this concert we will stream right here. There's also a chance to sing if you come at 4 instead of 4:30 when the concert starts. You will warm up and learn some songs. But the concert includes Jane Fonda, Patti Smith, horses, Bette Midler, Rufus Wainwright, Joy Reid, Wilson Cruz, and a group I want to hear, the Broadway Inspirational Voices. So this will have, because today is No Kings 4 Day.
Stanley Cooper will be singing here as well.
Okay, And I'm curious about Bruce Springsteen, but we will see it when it happens. Yeah, Stan Cooper will be singing the Talking 2026 Blues right here as part of this. So please come, please tell friends. This is to get together, hear some good music, sing if you want to sing, and celebrate that we have these rights under our Constitution. If you have any questions, let me know.
I was out early this morning and came across a car wash at the Vets Hall. It's a fundraiser for the man, I don't know, I just barely know that a man died on the highway last weekend. It's a fundraiser for the family. It's great. There's about 60 guys out there. They know what they're doing. The best car wash I've ever had, but a great fundraiser. And it's at the Vets Hall this morning, so hopefully they'll still be going after church. I don't know.
Hello. This is a little unusual. I'm actually just announcing that I'm the speaker next week. I missed the talk on Wednesday afternoon. I wanted to do that, Andy, and I'm going to miss this afternoon because I'm working on my talk about Bad Bunny. I'm not a Bad Bunny fan, but more people watch the halftime show than watch the game. And within the first 24 hours of it being aired, the video that was on NBC and its affiliate was downloaded over 4 billion times. So what is the big deal about Bad Bunny? And why is he so controversial that they scheduled a opposing show, an alternate show? And yeah, anyways, I think I'll have a little appreciation about what he has to say.
Handout. This is one of the last handful that we have, but it's really outdated because there's a nice picture of somebody that was a speaker here like over 10 years ago. So the operations committee, we're in the process of updating this brochure. It's looking really great. However, we need to shoot some pictures, so we're going to have an official photo shoot on August 9th. Okay, so if you want to be in the group shot that we're going to take right here, be here on August 9th. Okay, this is a warning. And also, you're getting something in your e-blast about this. So anyway, just an alert. What time? Oh, it'll be right after church service. So about 11:15, 11:30. So we'll just set up here right after service and then start shooting the pictures. Okay.
This Wednesday, we'll have to cancel the lunch bunch unless somebody else can open the door at noon to just share your lunch for an hour, because Dawn and I will be on the computer, doing UUA General Assembly is starting this week, and we're the delegates for the church. So
One more to all UU members and friends. Please join us on July 12th, Sunday, after church for a UUCC Covenant meeting. The meeting will start at 12:15, so we'll have time in between to socialize for about 90 minutes. Please bring an appetizer to share for right after the service so nobody starves and before the covenant begins. We need your input on shaping our future. We are asking you for your thoughts and ideas regarding how you experience the church and in what direction you would like to see the church going, including programs or activities that you would like to see happen here. This is a place to express your feelings and be heard. Any questions, just ask me. Okay. Next week, as we already heard, but we'll say it again, Nancy Tolan will present What's So Good About Bad Bunny. That sounds really interesting. Let us take a moment to still our hearts, quiet our minds, and center ourselves. The wind blows where it wills. You hear the sound of it, but cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. John 3, verse 8. Sue Davis will light the chalice here in the sanctuary, and those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lit the flame within us and the community. Thank you. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with us as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. So please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, Meditation on Breathing, hymn number 1009.
So we're going to start with the drone, and if you feel like just hanging on that drone through the whole time, you're welcome to do that. And then we'll go into the melody if you want to break off and sing the melody, and then there's a descant. So you get all these choices. Do whatever feels right. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out in love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We are glad you have joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on the land that indigenous peoples, primarily the Salinan tribe, historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As a Unitarian Universalist, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in this faith, in the search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds, as well as community leaders, to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU 7 principles and 6 values: equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, justice, and interdependence, with love at the center. Today's service centers around pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. My name is Diane DeMarco, and I am your worship associate for this morning's service. Hi, Diane. Hello. We extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you've joined us this morning. If you wish, please introduce yourself. If you are not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so we can keep you informed about all of our activities. Members and friends, please check out the UUCC newsletter sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. So again, good morning and welcome everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to help one another. We take this time to celebrate all those who are having a birthday this month. Birthdays are special, a day when we celebrate your entry into this world and honor your existence. If you have a birthday this month, please raise your hand, and when Randy or I call on you, please reveal your special date. Neil.
June 7th.
June 7th. Jan.
June 8th.
June 8th. June 2nd.
Treva, please unmute yourself.
Mine is Juneteenth, and I just have to say we heard baby James do his first giggle.
The birthday candle honors all our friends and family members who are also celebrating birthdays this month. Yes. Neil.
Well, it's hard to believe that it's been 5 weeks since we lost our Bill White, one of our dearest UU members. I don't know if you knew a lot about Bill. I was just beginning to share with Bill some of his past, and he was opening up to me a lot, and I really value that. Bill was born, I think, in 1946 and passed away on May 8th, suddenly. He was born in Honey Harbor, Ontario, the gateway to the Georgian Bay, which is the northeastern tributary of Lake Huron. And he had a wonderful childhood from what he described to me. He grew up with 3 brothers, 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother. Art, his oldest brother, was career military. His next brother, Jerry, took over the business when his father passed away at, I think, 53 years old in 1963. Bill was like 16 years old at that time. And Jerry and Bill continued the construction business, and Bill worked in it for, I think, 4 or 5 years before Bill got wanderlust and took a job with some German woodworkers in Toronto, where he learned his skill in stair building and other woodworking. Bill loved wood. I think you probably know that. He actually gifted us a piece of his work. And if you've ever been to his shop, which I had the honor of being several times, it looked chaotic, but what he created in that shop was incredible. And what the artwork he had in his home was unbelievable. It was a degree of woodworking that I've always wanted to aspire to, but never could. Bill was a true artist, and I'm going to miss him a lot. I think we all will. But there's an opportunity to pay tribute to Bill. He's got a showing at the Cambria Center for the Arts up until the 28th with 3 other woodworkers. And he has several of his pieces displayed. And I think it would be a great tribute to Bill if we could all, go to the center and just, maybe touch one of his artworks and just, kind of remember Bill in that way. Thank you.
Now is the time for sharing your heartfelt joys and concerns with this, your spiritual community. Please feel free to come forward and briefly express a personal celebration, sorrow, reflection, or gratitude. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are deeply felt in this community. The first reading is an excerpt from the monastic life of the Camaldolese Benedictines, text by Thomas Mattis, monk of Camaldoli and New Camaldoli community. If you ask a monastic community to define its ideal, you may be given a definition, but the reality of monastic life as it is lived is always greater than any definition. It is also greater than any institutional form it may assume. Because the monastic experience tends to spill out over the walls of monasteries and to flow into areas of life which may not even be as labeled as religious. There's something of the monk in every person, a kind of universal monastic archetype. To understand monasticism, it is necessary to get in touch with this archetype, the monk within. And this is just as necessary for someone who has spent years living in a monastery as it is for the person who is approaching monastic life for the first time. Monastics, monks, and nuns are called to manifest the universal monastic archetype and to realize it concretely, not for themselves only, but for all humanity. Responding to this vocation, they experience the benevolence and compassion which the hidden pours out upon all creatures. As they grow in the monastic way, they learn to show compassion to others without making distinctions and without passing judgment. And they know that they are never alone, even though they may dwell in the desert, far from human society. This is why monks and nuns at their best are down-to-earth people. Their life is a quest for that healthy balance, that holy wholeness, which is the mark of the new person, the restored person. They already see the end and fulfillment of all things in the humble beginnings of their life together. Please remain seated while we sing Spirit of Life, hymn 123, leading directly into the silent meditation.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow Come to me, come to me.
Quiet your active mind. Soothe your troubled heart. Connect with your incorporeal soul. Ignite your dormant spirit. Reach beyond your essence to find your inner peace. The second reading is an excerpt continuing from the Monastic Life, Camaldoli's Benedictines. Monastic renewal today. As soon as Camaldoli became a center of institutional reform as well as exclusively personal, interior reformation, the community was faced with the task of living in the historical present with all its ambiguities and its distractions. For monks and nuns rooted in more than 15 centuries of tradition, this task is very much like the work of the inculturation, which is central to the Church's mission throughout the world today. The gospel cannot be identified with any one culture, yet it always needs to be culturally mediated. Those to whom its message is addressed are called to transcend the limits of their own culture, but not to discard culture as such. In a similar way, monks and nuns, especially in a religiously neutral society like our own, have to face the problem of enculturating monasticism. Monastic life is both universal and evangelical. If it is truly life, it'll be born anew in every culture and every age. In the work of monastic renewal and enculturation, we are guided by a living tradition. Our heritage of monastic pluralism can make an important contribution to this work, which no one individual or community can accomplish alone. We need to share our energies and resources with other monastic communities in this country, and we welcome contributions from outside the monastery as well, the monastery as well. Okay, today's talk is titled The Monastic Life, to be delivered by Andy Feigin. Andy Feigin travels near and far for many reasons. Among them is a search for beauty, joy, and meaningful life. As a Unitarian Universalist, he finds inspiration in observing how people around the world live their lives and pursue their search for enlightenment. Today, he hopes to share with us some of what he has found. Andy.
Thanks, Diane. I meet once a month with a UU minister, Reverend Kelly Murphy Mason, in her capacity as a spiritual director. After many sessions with her, it became clear that I could benefit from some quiet time, some time to just listen to what is in my heart, a retreat. I finally got around to taking a stab at a retreat this past January, spending a few nights at the new Camaldoli Hermitage up in Big Sur. They have a user-friendly, welcoming website through which you can book your room and board, and that's what I did, and I kept a journal. Tuesday, January 20th, 2026, 2:15 p.m. The drive north was a pleasant one in my convertible. I kept a conservative speed and allowed a number of cars to pass me when turnouts were available. The views of the coastline and the mountains were spectacular. Just south of the turnoff for the Hermitage, there was a construction zone letting traffic through one direction at a time. All the cars that had passed me were in line, waiting. Their speedy efforts nullified by the highway worker in a bright yellow jacket holding a stop sign. I had enjoyed a meandering drive in awe of the beauty, having eliminated the pressure to drive fast in order to satisfy others who were in a hurry. I sensed a lesson in this, a tortoise and the hare kind of parable. Shortly beyond that stoppage, I turned right and headed up the 1.5-mile scenic drive to its conclusion at the Hermitage bookstore, where one registers. I noticed that a blue Miata, also a convertible, also with its top down, turned in just after me. I had thought of letting them pass, but the driveway was too narrow. I proceeded to climb the lovely paved road at a gentle speed, the Miata keeping a respectful distance behind me. Then the road turned from paved to dirt. I looked in my rearview mirror to see that my car was creating a heavy cloud of dust, which was consuming the Miata. I believe that car slowed down or it completely stopped in order to let the dust settle before proceeding. Indeed, they arrived well after I had completed my check-in. I hope they took the time to enjoy the breathtaking views. Perhaps another lesson in that. Sometimes it is wise not letting others pass, or you might get stuck in their dust. I had hardly begun my retreat, and already I was discovering something. A monk welcomed me as soon as I entered the bookstore. He was wearing a robe. As I walked in, he asked if I was Andrew. I am. He provided a quick orientation and a map of the retreat grounds. I asked when the evening service would take place. He told me Vespers would be at 5 p.m. and a bell will sound 5 minutes prior. I proceeded back to my car and down the driveway to my room, number 3, with Saint Albertino's name on the door. Blessed Albertinus of Mentone was a 13th century Italian Benedictine, best known for his role as a peacemaker, mediating conflicts between his monastery and the town of Gubbio, Italy. The room was as expected. The Hermitage website includes photographs of each room. I settled in, and then I sat in the garden while I took in the coastal view and read through the information booklet provided to guests. From it, I learned about the origin story of the Camaldolese Benedictine monks, tracing back to the 6th century monastic traditions of Saint Benedict, as further defined in the 11th century by their founder, Saint Romuald. 5 p.m., Vespers. While enjoying my view of the coastline, the evening bell rang, and I made my way up the hill to the chapel. Several fellow retreaters were already seated on the plain wooden benches, and 2 monks, robed with shaved heads, were seated in chairs on the innermost row, surrounding an open space with lecterns at either end. I took a seat and then noticed the other guests had a sheet of paper and a book. I went back to the entryway and acquired an order of service and a book with the words Vespers on the binder. I returned to my seat. Another monk entered. He was older and tall, with a coif of gray hair. He reminded me of my father. One more monk entered, and I'm pretty sure he was the greeter at the bookstore, and the service began. I had read in the booklet that many of the monks were called to monastic life as a second career. Former lay careers such as teacher, engineer, military, business executive, etc. I couldn't help but wonder what these men's lives were before they chose this life. The last monk to enter was the lead monk. He announced the number of the hymns we would be singing, and we all rose and sang a cappella. Then we sat and began a series of essentially responsive readings from the sections listed on the order of service. I listened and read along. Others recited the words, which they were clearly familiar with, all in English. There were adequate pauses between readings for contemplation. I appreciated that once I realized it was the way they roll. At one point, the lead monk stood, picked up a book from beneath his seat, presumably a Bible, went to one of the lecterns and read a passage aloud. Then he sat down and the service continued as it had before. Then the lead monk stood once again and crossed to the other lectern, which had a bowl of water, holy water, I presume, and a brush. He recited more prayers, dipped the brush in the water, and sprayed the two monks with water. More prayer, and then he sprayed that third older monk with water. More prayer, and then he sprayed the guests across from me with water, and then he sprayed me and my neighbor. Then he turned around to face a portrait of a woman, Mary, I presume, on the very plain wall behind him. Everyone stood, so I stood, and turned in the same direction and recited one more prayer in unison. That wrapped up the service. All the monks but the gray-haired one, who reminded me of my father, exited. He stayed behind to explain to we retreaters that we were welcome to join in a half hour of silent prayer and meditation further into the chapel, but that we should be careful because there are 2 steps down into the space, and he was concerned we might trip and fall. Everyone but me followed him. A bit unsure of myself, I opted to leave the chapel and walk quietly back to my room, stopping to pick up my dinner from the kitchen. Wednesday, January 21st. I slept a long night with total peace and quiet. Breakfast, made toast with peanut butter in the kitchen, brought it back to my room, leaving my screen door closed, but the main door open. Boiled water in a kettle and made coffee with the supplies they provided. All I need to start the day. But as I got up to pour more coffee, I felt that I should close the main door. Keeping it open was an unconscious way of welcoming others to look in and see that I was there, I realized. But that is a social energy which I'm purposely retreating from for this brief respite. I'm amused by how this self-proclaimed introvert was inclined to invite human contact even while on a silent retreat. I am indeed a social animal. After breakfast, I got lost in my reading, noticing how thoroughly I was able to focus. Having no distractions was a wonderful condition I had been yearning for. I vowed to find a way to recreate that condition in my own home. Perhaps design a space where I can eliminate distraction. Is that something that requires a physical design, or can it be achieved through discipline? I've been working on that. As I read more about the Camaldolese, I find much that harmonizes with my own spiritual beliefs. As Stephen Lloyd Moffat taught us, it's okay to pick and choose from the smorgasbord of religions, finding those parts that work for each of us as we travel on our spiritual journey. The booklet states that the Camaldolese Benedictine monastic life can be described in 3 basic qualities. It is incarnational, eschatological, and evangelical. Incarnational. These Christian monastics believe that God became flesh, assumed a human nature, and became a man in the form of Jesus Christ. Well, I don't believe that, but I like the more general definition of incarnational. It literally means embodied in flesh or taking on flesh. For me, that means the divine is in me, in all of us, embodied in our flesh. Eschatological. The Camaldolese monks believed in the second coming of Christ, the apocalypse, all that stuff. Well, I don't believe in that either. But it led me to ponder the meaning of our existence. I don't believe that the universe revolves around human beings, but it is fascinating to imagine not an end of times, but what the future, the distant future, holds for us, or what will evolve to follow us. Evangelical. Although they state that spreading the Christian gospel is their 3rd basic quality, in my time at the Hermitage, I felt no pressure to follow any beliefs other than my own. I participated in their Vesper service and felt nothing but appreciation for the simple, sincere, peaceful way in which they practiced their rituals. I was inspired by their quiet devotion without being asked to adhere to anything but a respectful presence. 3 p.m. I head out for a walk down the road, stopping at benches with gorgeous views along the way. I came across a trailhead for the Fence Loop Trail and made a mental note to inquire about it before venturing too far tomorrow. While sitting on one of the benches, a leaf falls on me, a large leaf. It startled me. When I looked at it closely, I see that it is partially cracked, and the words from the Leonard Cohen song Anthem came to mind. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. I move to another bench as the marine layer rolls in. We're surrounded by a blanket of fog. A deep breath and a chance for meditation, guided by the birds and the reeds and the breeze. Perhaps you can hear them too. Having been there the previous evening, I know the drill and collect my Vespers book and order of service, and I sit back down. There were some new retreaters who had joined that day, and they didn't have the order of service or their prayer book. And I saw one of the young monks get up, go to the foyer, grab a couple of both, bring them to the guests, and then sit down. And as he sat down, he faced me and saw I had my stuff and went like that. Very modern, very human. It was great. The service concluded with the same invitation to meditation, and this time I stayed, sitting in the rotunda on a bench for a very peaceful 30-minute meditation. In my room after dinner, that's a new time. I frequently ask Reverend Kelly questions about the Bible. She has at times recommended I read the Psalms. So I lift up the Bible provided in my room and start flipping through Psalms. until my eye catches Psalm 58, the dethroning of unjust rulers. You can tell it's coming. Having escaped current events for at least a couple of days, I could not stop myself from reading about the dethroning of unjust rulers. Quote, "The wicked have been corrupt since birth, liars from the womb. They have gone astray. Let them dissolve like a snail that oozes away, like an untimely birth that never sees the sun." Spot on. There's another piece from the smorgasbord that rang true for me in Here and Now. Thursday, January 22nd. I left the new Camaldoldi Hermitage inspired by the beauty of a down-to-earth life dedicated to pursuit of one's spirituality, and with the knowledge that quiet, not just in decibels but also in spirit, was a condition and a choice I needed to make, a practice in my life going forward. Turn the calendar several pages to this month of June. My wife, Mimi, and I are on vacation, so let's sail away to Fiji and a beautiful resort on the small island of Tokoriki. June 1, 2026, Tokoriki Island, Fiji. I attend the Sunday evening service in the lovely chapel on the resort grounds. The guest information book said resort guests were invited to join, especially to enjoy the choral singing that was part of the service. I arrived and noticed shoes in the doorway, so I slipped off my sandals and entered barefooted. All the attendees were seated. Randy, if you could advance after you let this person in, I guess. All the attendees were seated in the back pews of this small chapel with a preacher at the dais. I took a seat in front of those attendees. The preacher read from a Bible exclusively in Fijian. I could not understand a word, but soaked in the Spirit. Unbeknownst to me, at one point he must have called for a hymn to be sung. One of the men tapped me on the shoulder and whispered in my ear, "At this time we stand." So, of course, I stood up while they all sang a beautiful hymn a cappella. We then sat down and the service continued. Others, including a guest couple and Anna, a staff person I recognized, entered and took seats. Anna sat in the row in front of me, and when the next hymn was called for, we all stood, and Anna sang the first notes on her own, followed by all the congregation joining in. Their voices blended beautifully in harmony, while rhythms were tapped out with feet and hands. I could thump along with the rhythm and was able to tell when the hymn was ending, joining in with the Amen. I got that part. At one point, an older member of the congregation rose, walking forward toward the altar, which consisted of a thick wooden slab in front of a stained glass window depicting gulls flying over a beautiful tropical lagoon. Yeah. He began speaking quietly, directing his words toward the preacher. His statement, all in Fijian, felt somewhat confessional, or perhaps like words spoken during our joys and concerns. Then he turned to face us, and speaking in English, he thanked we three guests for honoring the congregation by attending their holy gathering, and for being their guests on the island. Often when Fijians greet you, they say, "Welcome home." Even though clearly the island is not my home, they're sharing that Fiji is home for all humanity, and all are welcome. Hospitality is a powerful force in Fiji. Next came what sure seemed like a sermon accompanied by the dramatic gestures and the emphasis you might expect from a traditional sermon. Then the preacher paused, lifted what appeared to be a legal pad on top of and put it on top of his Bible, and said, "Now in English for our guests," and proceeded to deliver his sermon in the language I could understand. He was speaking about the importance of rest and how Jesus urged his followers to shed their burdens. And he read this passage from Matthew chapter 11, 28 through 30. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest in your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." He tied that together with the fact that we resort guests had certainly come to such a beautiful place as Tokoriki for rest, to find ease and lighten our burdens. He made clear that the resort workers, who formed the majority of the worshipers in the chapel, were committed to doing the work of Jesus, providing rest for our souls. Amen. A final hymn was sung and the service was over. I'm not sure if the preacher called for it or it simply just happened, but at that point we all were shaking each other's hands and hugging and just sharing what felt like simple, joyous love of fellow humans in a beautiful place. The minister had moved to the doorway, and as I made my way out, I shook his hand and thanked him, Vinaka. Then I somewhat awkwardly got into the sandals I had left on the front step and started my way down a stone staircase. It had gotten dark outside, and I may have seemed a bit unsteady as I started my descent. I felt a warm arm wrap around my shoulders. One of the attendees, a big man with a deep voice, perhaps the man who had whispered, "At this time we stand," was helping me navigate the steps. "Are you all right? Are you alone? Do you need help getting back to your room? Are you alone?" he repeated. I answered, "I'm here with my wife, but she's back at our villa." We made it down the steps to flat ground. Again, he asked if I needed help finding my way, and I assured him I was okay. "Vinaka, thank you." I headed off feeling the warmth of the connection we had made, and some of my burdens eased. Later that evening, on our way to dinner, Randy maybe advance for me, passing staff members along the pathway, Mimi sensed from the staff an appreciation for the guy, me, who had chosen to share their spiritual lives. Whether it was literal or imagined, I felt more connected at that moment than any other during my time at the resort on Tokoriki. A hermitage retreat, a Fijian Sunday service. As a Unitarian Universalist for some 25 years now, I've come to deeply appreciate the value of pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Our thanks for all gifts given and received, and for the work received for the work of this community. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, Blessed Spirit of My Life, number 86 in the hymnal.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. Then when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. The flame of this chalice will no longer burn today, but the light of the flame within our hearts continues to shine brightly, illuminating the love felt in our community. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. Now let's form a circle and join hands. Andy?
First of all, thanks to Diane and Jan for guiding us through this service. Thomas Merton states, It is in deep solitude and silence that I find the gentleness with which I can truly love my brothers and sisters. And John O'Donohue teaches, may you recognize in your life the presence, power, and light of your soul. May you realize that you are never alone, that your soul in its brightness and belonging connects you immediately with the rhythm of the universe. Go in peace.